Karz talks, where facts are opinions and opinions are facts. Will these new tariffs actually make a difference in the car market? If you ask me, these new tariffs aren't going to affect anything at all. Let me explain. So, in order for me to explain my logic, I need to lay out the groundwork here for what I'm thinking and why I think tariffs, 25% on Mexico, Canada, and then the additional 10% or whatever on China on top of whatever it is already, is not going to make any real difference. So let us go ahead and watch this video together. I've actually played a clip of this video before in a previous video because it's so spot on. Like, this guy is just, he's on it 100%. And we're going to watch a little bit more of it. So just be patient. It will be worth your time, I promise.
I think some of these new vehicles are becoming less reliable, and they're being manufactured in a cheaper way with either cheaper wages overseas in addition to cheaper materials like plastic and all this stuff, and the manufacturer will never give the customer the increased savings. So it's like, what? You're using plastic around the engine bay for manifolds and all this stuff, and it would be a lot better if you use metal, but I'm not getting any savings from you using plastic. You're just increasing your profit. You ship manufacturing over to Mexico, you only pay $2 wages, and then you charge 60 grand for a Tacoma. So it's like, where's the savings on the consumer side? But here we go. It's less reliable for new vehicles, and it costs more money. It doesn't even make sense. And if you buy a new vehicle, you got to go back to the dealership. Normally something's going to go wrong with it, and that's the problem, is dealing with the dealership's never fun.
Oh, thank you, Thomas Sieber, because spot on. What does this have to do with the tariffs? Well, we're going to get into that right now. The reason why this video is relevant to the tariffs is because, just like he said, manufacturers for the longest time, especially very recent, in just very obvious ways, have done everything they could to reduce manufacturing costs. They found ways to make parts cheaper and that still work, at least for some period of time, maybe not too long, but at least long enough for the vehicle to be sold, right? So they found ways to make manufacturing these vehicles more efficient. But what that has done is that has not passed savings on to the consumer. Manufacturers have not developed better manufacturing processes to make a cheaper product for their consumer. They've done so to make a more profitable product for their consumer. And cars get more expensive. Every year they go up, they go up, they go up. Oh, inflation this, inflation that. Well, sometimes the vehicle's price goes up past what the inflation theoretically should dictate what the price, the increase of the price would have been. So it doesn't make sense. And you think, well, people are just going to stop buying new cars. They're going to get too expensive. Well, that's where you're wrong. And that's where this whole story starts to take shape. Because in the good old United States of America, we're a capitalistic country. This whole country was built on capitalism and is driven by consumerism. And it is our patriotic duty to go into debt and slave over corporate America, because that's how we keep the lights on. And because of that, new car sales in 2024, despite quality being crap, despite prices going up and up and up, it didn't stop Americans from spending crap loads of money and buying a record-setting number of cars since 2019. Because in 2024, in the United States, 16 million new cars were sold. That's a lot. And that's the highest number since 2019, so pre-COVID. And Toyota being the number one selling brand, selling 1,986,954 vehicles, a 4% increase from 2023. Ford sold almost just as much as Toyota, a 2% increase from 2023. Chevrolet also had a 2% increase from 2023. Honda had an 11% increase from 2023. And the list goes on and on. That data to me is very compelling because these tariffs that are, going to be issued that will affect vehicles that are being built in Canada and Mexico are going to, assuming that I'm understanding the tariff correctly, theoretically, there's going to be a 25% tax on the import of that vehicle that's made in either of those countries. So what's a popular vehicle here in the United States that's made in Mexico? Well, that would be a Chevrolet Silverado. And what is the current base price, starting price of a Silverado? In 2025, a starting price for a Silverado, which is just a work truck, bare bones, nothing special, is $37,645. Well, let's pull out our handy dandy calculator here and let's do a little quick math, okay? 37,645. So now we got to add in our handy dandy tariff. So 37,645, and that gives us $9,411 premium on top of that 37,000. Okay. So, but here's the deal about these tariffs. There's already tariffs. This is just an increase of the tariff. So people are already paying an import tax on vehicles they buy made in Mexico or Canada. So right now, the current import tax for most foreign-made vehicles imported to the United States is 2.5% for automobiles and 25% for trucks, which would include the Chevrolet Silverado. So it's already got a 25% tariff. The 25% tariff for pickup trucks is due to the chicken tax. So in the case of the Silverado, it's already hit. The price you pay for a Silverado is already factoring in 25%. Now, could the Trump tariff be 25% on top of the 25% chicken tariff? Maybe, I don't know. Perhaps you can let me know. But let's just assume that that's not the case, and the tariff is more or less going to affect other things that aren't affected by the chicken tax. Then, for example, the Chevrolet Silverado will have no difference in pricing. Now, on vehicles that are made in, let's say, Canada, what's a good popular vehicle made in Canada? That would be this one right here. Toyota RAV4, very popular, high demand vehicle. Everyone and their mother wants one of these vehicles, and they're buying them like crazy. They can't keep them on the lots. They're one of the best selling vehicles in the country. So right now you can get a RAV4 starting at $29,250. You add on your 25% tariff, and that's $7,312. Now, I don't know exactly what it is from Canada, but let's say it's, I don't know. Let's just say it's 5%. So really you're only increasing at 20. So I should redo the calculations to reflect that, honestly. So 29,250 times 0.20, and that's 5,850. Now, you're saying to yourself, well, that's still 20% increase. Yes. And this is what manufacturers are likely going to do. Now, Trump's whole thought on this is going to incentivize these manufacturers to just move manufacturing, all manufacturing, anything these manufacturers sell in the US, move the manufacturing to the US to sell in the US. And the thing is, all these manufacturers already have manufacturing here, but they don't have all the manufacturing here. But they also manufacture in other countries too. So Toyota sells vehicles just the same in Canada. It makes less sense for the manufacturer to invest in manufacturing for each market, each country they sell in, when they can just import it. So likely what's going to happen is Toyota's going to be like, okay, well, there's a 20% difference now between what we were being charged to import our cars, and now it's 20% higher. If we tax that on, our sales are probably going to drop. But what happens if we eat 10% of it and then add 10% onto the vehicles that are made in the United States to offset the cost? And I bet you That's what they're going to do. So what's a Toyota vehicle actually made in the United States? The Toyota Camry. So the Toyota Camry right now is $28,700. So you take $28,700, you add on 10%, and that only increases the cost of the vehicle by $2,870. And perhaps even then they can offset the cost a little bit more here and there just to keep it minimal. So this will essentially make the price increase across the board the same. It will still be an increase, but not a whole lot. And now I know what you're saying, but the tariffs still increased the price. Well, this is where it's going to go back to the beginning of the video. Remember when I showed the whole part, this part here of the sales numbers and the statistics for all the different, 16 million new cars sold in 2024. It's not stopping people from buying new cars. And you think $2,000, $3,000 increase on a RAV4 is going to stop someone from going out and buying a new RAV4? Probably not, because people are crazy in this country for buying new cars and going into massive amounts of debt, which is actually kind of interesting because if we look here, here's some really interesting information. Auto loan debt is the second largest category behind mortgages. Overall, Americans owe $1.644 trillion in auto loan debt. That is crazy. It's accounting for 9.2% of all American consumer debt. Americans took out $184.2 billion in new auto loans in just quarter 3 of 2024. Do you think $3,000 increase is going to stop these animals, us Americans, from buying and spending so much money on these cars? No. And this whole thing right here, this could be a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. And because Americans are just blindly spending, all this money on cars, and they have been for a while now, which is why manufacturers have gotten away with it for so long. This is one of the big side effects. Auto loan delinquency rates are up compared to last year. 4.6% of outstanding auto debt was at least 90 days late in quarter 3 2024, up 17.4% from quarter 3 2023. That is nuts. The most popular vehicle models consumers considered buying: F-150, Chevrolet Silverado, and Toyota RAV4. Tariffs are not going to affect the car market whatsoever because Americans are dumb. They spend a whole lot of money they shouldn't spend. And in the end, that's why they're not going to make a difference. Perhaps that wasn't the answer you were looking for, but that's the answer I have. Let me know what you think. Put your thoughts in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up here for this video. If you want to see more content like this and you haven't already, go ahead, give the video a thumbs up. Share with everyone you know. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. Keep a lookout for next Cars Talks video.